Right, okay. What else? So the question is, what else can come under emotional distress?
When we don't know how to deal with our emotions, when the emotions overpower us.
Good. When the emotions overpower us. Very good. So, any example?
Suppose there is intense sadness. Someone close to me, I lost someone close to me. So then I don't know how to deal with that. But it is not like post traumatic disorder or something, but just the grief.
Right, okay. So maybe grief could be one kind of distress, right? So
Or
actually,
even normal breakup or something. Or
even breakup.
just, yeah, just change in your life. Like uh, the situations where you have that spring and then the spring doesn't bounce back.
Hmm. Right. So breakup could also be an example. Yes. Any other definition of what we can, club under emotional distress?
Ma'am, so when we're talking about emotional distress, we always mention distressing, negative emotions mostly. But if we look at mania, would that also come under emotional distress?
No, that will come under disorder. See, mania, distress level mania, generally I have not seen. You will see it in disorder only. So, distress level issues that I see with my clients, in therapy, it's procrastination, lack of motivation, lack of interest. Now, this lack of motivation, lack of interest may not be disorder, which is like depression, but I see it very often that lack of motivation, lack of interest, don't know what to do with, free time. So, distress is anything that, as Jinkle also mentioned, that hampers your coping abilities, and as Janki also said, you don't have the emotional skills to regulate and manage your emotions. Distress is also where all kinds, like let's say your work life and your personal life is not completely like compromised, but definitely you see its impact. The negative impact has started. So it's not like completely compromised. You do see some negative impact. So obviously you remember in REBT we learned all these 8 emotions, right? So distress level management we do through all these emotions. So anxiety management, which I talked about, depression management also we have seen. But today we will look at some emotions like guilt. So in distress, we work on emotions like guilt, hurt, anger, shame. So guilt, hurt, anger, and shame. Now you will see many a times in procrastination, many clients do feel guilty. They first procrastinate and then they have so many things to do. They start feeling guilty about wasting their time. So what CBT RBT says is if we can help all people around us to manage their emotions, then we'll be able to face life in a much more better way. Because today what happens, we start feeling guilty, we go into the same vicious cycle again. We go backwards. Rather than doing the task, we actually spend more time wasting. You must have seen this with yourself also. You start feeling guilty, you do more things that are going to make you feel more guilty. Like you'll waste more time or you'll watch something which is again going to take your time. So because we don't have this distress management with us. Others are listening, no? तुम लोग ना क्लास में अच्छे रह लगते हो यार मुझे ऑफलाइन में ये ऑनलाइन में सब भूत बन जाते हो आई डोंट नो व्हाई बाकी के लोग तो सो ही रहे लगता है जैसे आई एम तो फुल श्योर see how nicely I am sitting video is on you can see my center you see my nice office I don't want to show you other things because it's not properly what you say. I've not arranged many things today. But this is my office from home. See, I'm nicely decked up for all of you. तुम लोग मुझे दिखा भी नहीं रहे हो मुंह. Sad यार. If you guys cancelled potluck. And you know, I was thinking, एक साथ कब मिलेंगे हम? I am not very sure about that. Because your, your, what you say, SLE is also we're going to take online. So you guys have, when are we going to meet all together?
Ma'am, we have a lecture on 6th for neuro.
You have on 6th, but I have my OPD on 6th. I can't come on 6th. I have my clinic on 6th the whole day, so it's going to be a bit difficult on 6th. Anyway, we'll figure something out. और तुम लोग का कब है? Vacation भी होगा ना? When are you? Like when do you have your vacation?
Vacation मतलब study leave.
हाँ, study leave वही.
So first week of April we are there. Second week of April we have practicals, and then third week of April is the study leave.
Third week of April, we'll have to do something. Anyway, Afra is the only one who said we are here. Where are others? I don't know. I'm still searching for these other people who are connected to Zoom but disconnected with the lecture. I think so. बाकी के लोग पता नहीं आज क्या है. Others are there. Many people are there on chat. You know, I'm getting a weird feeling that you guys are still in your bed, sleeping and listening to this lecture. I'm doing a lot of mind reading and fortune telling, but I don't know. Anyway, so I was saying that we have to work on these emotions. So we'll start with guilt. Obviously, I'm not going to help you. You don't have to know the therapy plan or anything, but we'll start with how we can work on guilt, in terms of helping our clients. So you all remember the theme for guilt? When do we feel guilty?
When our own moral obligations are not fulfilled.
Right, very good. So when our own moral obligations or whatever ethical standards we have, they are not fulfilled. So what we do from CBT RBT point of view, we also try to understand, okay, what are the other guilt related themes that clients have in their mind? Themes as in, क्या inferences clients make when they feel guilty? There are many clients, when they start feeling guilty, right? Obviously, one theme, as she said, they think that they have broken their moral code. Sometimes, some of my clients have also said things like, I'm a failure. So they have thought of I'm a failure because I have not lived up to my moral code, especially, mothers who are not able to give time to their kids. Maybe they cannot spend quality time with their kids. They also sometimes feel that, I'm a failure as a mother. So you see a lot of labeling from cognitive behavioral therapy point of view. From REBT point of view, you see a lot of self-depreciation. So these are the two things that we have to work on: labeling, self-depreciation when guilt comes up. There are also some clients who think that, okay, I have caused hurt to others because I have not lived up to my moral code. I have, caused hurt to other people in my life. So again, let's say an example here could be, maybe, you wanted to make you have this moral code that you want to make good meals for your family, good home cooked food for your family, and you're not able to do it. So many a times some clients might think that, okay, I'm hurting someone's feelings, they are not going to think good about me. So when we are working from CBT RBT point of view, we need to see, okay, which is the theme my client is thinking about. One theme is I have failed my own moral code. Second theme is I am a failure because I am not living up to my moral code. And third theme is I have caused hurt to others in my family. But the most common irrational belief that we have to work when it comes to guilt is self-depreciation. There could also be, from RBT point of view, demand from self. Right? And many a times, in RBT, we also see that some clients take over responsibility for what has happened. So if something bad has happened, let's say, like one of my clients, he actually gifted a bike, to his son. Maybe when I think he was 24 years old or something. And his son met with an accident on that bike. And son passed up, unfortunately, in that accident. So I remember when I was working with this client was the father, he kept saying this, that because of me, I shouldn't have gifted him this bike. I should have understood that there are so many accidents that are happening on road now, especially on bike. So this was not a very well thought of gift. So this, this kind of a thinking where you take over responsibility for what has happened. We also call this post-irrational belief thinking. This thinking also comes from your irrational thoughts. That's why it's called post-irrational belief thinking. So he kept saying this in most of the session, that I shouldn't have done this. It's because of me. I shouldn't have gifted this. This is something that we had to work with him on. So generally clients, they fail to see the complexity of the problem, that it's not just that one thing because you gifted this happened. There were also so many other factors that contributed to this. But when you are in guilt, you are not able to see the other factors involved. You only take the blame on yourself. So in CBT, we also have to work on the thinking error of personalization. Because many clients take complete blame for one event, And with him, definitely, this was the major thing, a lot of personalization. Because of me, this happened. So he kept replaying scenes where what if he would not have gifted him this bike, then he would never go on bike, he would never go on, he would never drive on these crazy roads, all these things. So what I'm trying to tell you is, one, we have to work on irrational belief of self-depreciation, demand. From CBT point of view, we have to work on personalization, labeling. Padmashri, you have a question. Could guilt stem from being in a certain role, such as feeling guilty about being a mother because they think they don't deserve being a mother? Yeah, it can. Definitely, this also sometimes you can see where you yourself don't think that you deserve. So the idea of deservingness definitely can come.
So, ma'am, here what would be the moral obligation that they couldn't fulfill?
Maybe, see, when the client is saying, I don't deserve to be a mother, I would explore, okay, what is the definition of being a mother for this client? Is it nurturing that, I need to be, let's say, like first 6 years, I need to be available for my kid, but maybe I'm not emotionally, physically available. So you have to actually explore the idea and the definition of being a mother for these clients and see if they are holding too rigidly to it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Are we clear with guilt? So I'm just giving you very, the core idea of what we have to work on with clients. Another thing I've seen, I don't know whether you have observed, but you think and tell me, when clients are feeling guilty, right? What kind of unhealthy behaviors do they get in? Any guesses? Sorry?
Substance.
Or using substances, okay? Huh? Sonal, I can't hear you if you're saying something. Yeah, emotional eating, yes, okay.
Isolation.
Isolation, right? And
Excess sleeping.
What?
Excessive sleeping.
Okay, excessive sleeping. Have you also seen some clients get into self-harm? There's also self-punishment, self-harm behaviors. With some of my clients, I also see self-deprivation. They won't give something to themselves. Like, I'm feeling guilty, I won't have a meal today. Or I won't go for this XYZ, event. So they deprive themselves of something that they would like to do. So these unique behaviors also we try to work on, like self-deprivation. Secondly, self-punishment or self-harm. I also see a lot of overcompensation. This is another side to it, that because you haven't done something, you would just overcompensate by doing too much. And many a times with some clients, you also say repetitive confessions. You go on excessively having these kind of confessions and actually begging for forgiveness. You'll keep on begging, to the other person to, forgive you. So why did I talk about these behaviors is because from CBT REBT point of view, we also need to work on these behavioral rules. As I told you in one of the classes that if we only work on thought, but if we don't work on behaviors or actions, that's not going to be helpful. So every distress issue also we work on both. So just to summarize, what did I say? In guilt, we work on these themes, especially, where the theme is I've broken my own moral code. I've failed to live up to someone else, I failed to live up to my own moral code. That's why I think that I'm a failure. I'm trying to hurt feelings of others. Then you also have self-depreciation. You have other, self-depreciation demand. Then you have a lot of labeling, personalization. Then you also take over responsibility for what has happened. You don't see the complexity of the situation, and then you work on these behaviors. Any questions? Right? So this is one emotion that we have to work on. Obviously have to know, but if the client is going through this emotion. Application to guilt. Then we will talk about application to shame. As I told you, we have to talk about guilt, shame, hurt, and anger. So now shame. Anyone remembers the theme for shame?
Societal scrutiny.
Right. Societal scrutiny, yes. Shame, one more inference that's very common with some clients is, some clients think that I have fallen short of my ideal. Again, you will see, but their social ideal here. Because shame is more about what others think. We think that we are not living up to social standards. So just to add, this is one more thing that I have fallen short of my social ideal. Many clients also think that I've let down my own reference group. There is a concept called as reference group. What is reference group? Your own core people. Let's say you go to hang out with your friends, right? That is your reference group, your core group. There also many times we can feel very shameful that how they are going to think about me. And if your friends have other friends who are also going to join, that also could be a part of your reference group. So in shame, many a times clients have this idea that I have let down my own reference group. So two additional points other than social scrutiny. One is I'm falling short of my social ideals. And second is I have let down my own reference group. And you already know the other component, which is negative judgment by others. How others are going to negatively judge me. That's why many times we may not, function as per our best capacities. I've seen many people underperform in life. Even when they choose careers, right? They are walking on the path, but they are not able to really optimize because of shame a lot many times. They don't take certain risks which actually might help them. Like one of my students only, she started her own practice, right? Was working, in a school also as a school psychologist. But I remember the shame was so self-limiting. That certain opportunities she just didn't take because of this shame, and that did not help her, obviously, with the career graph. She kept underperforming because of that. Because you don't really optimize your full potential. So to be very honest, it looks very simple like this, shame, guilt, but if you think, and if you ponder over its impact, the impact is massive. And sometimes we convince ourselves that this is the only, these are my only capabilities, but that's not true. Right? That's why we have shame attack also. Why that attack? Because then you will optimize because you will go beyond that shame and turn it into healthy shame also. So this client actually said that if I would have taken these other opportunities, I would have seen a lot of growth in me. But again, quite self-limiting. Now in shame, you will see any idea which irrational beliefs from REBT you will see in shame.
वो पढ़ाई कोई काम में नहीं आता है, आज नहीं आता है। मोबाइल है ना, खास करके गूगल में देखना, खाते पर बेड पर पढ़ने से क्या होता है, खाने से क्या होता है।
Self-depreciation.
Okay, what else? Yeah, self-depreciation is there.
Demandingness.
Okay. Anything else?
Frustration intolerance.
Very good. Frustration intolerance actually most common. Of self-depreciation and demandingness is also there, but most common is frustration intolerance. You think that you cannot stand someone's rejection. See, that's why all these rejection level issues, right? Or fear of failure, many a times they stem from frustration intolerance. So we work very strongly on FI. And then obviously, as she mentioned, other irrational beliefs like self-depreciation, demandingness from self could be there. From CBT point of view, any clue? What kind of cognitive distortions or core belief will be there?
Helplessness.
Good, very good helplessness. But in which part of helplessness can you tell me? We have three components, within helplessness. So which one? Which are the three components under helplessness?
Getting things done, maybe.
Okay, yeah. And
Protecting oneself.
actually, these are the two, in getting things done and in protecting oneself, that you will see in clients who are feeling shameful. So good job. Under helplessness, you will see these two important themes which we have to work on. Obviously, work on means at your level right now, we don't work on core beliefs. But from a therapist point of view, you need to understand that this is the reason to why my client is doing, getting into a certain behavior. And any cognitive distortions, you can tell me which can be common in shame. Anything comes to your mind?
Labeling.
Okay, yes, labeling can be there. What else? most common. Negative judgment by others. Which cognitive distortion is this? So common cognitive distortion is fortune telling. You get into a lot of negative predictions without evidence. And also mind reading. You assume what the other person is thinking without again having evidence to it. So cognitive distortions are what you say, fortune telling and mind reading. Helplessness, core belief in getting things done and protecting oneself. And from REBT point of view, majorly frustration intolerance, but self-depreciation and demandingness can also exist. Now in shame, I have seen the post-irrational belief thinking, like, more other negative thoughts in shame could be clients who might have done something embarrassing. They think that everyone will remember that embarrassing act. So they overestimate the shamefulness of one's behavior. It may not be that embarrassing, but they will make that up in their own mind that everyone is going to remember, everyone is going to talk about it. So they overestimate the shamefulness of one's behavior. They will say things like, all are going to notice, they're going to remember this forever, and it's going to be like a bad thing on my image. So they keep exaggerating that everyone is going to remember, or others will tell some people will tell it to other people and they will then exclude me from the group. So sometimes we also have to cognitively restructure this overestimation of one's shamefulness, of that behavior, of that act. And when it comes to behaviors that we have to work on in shame, many clans you would see they don't maintain eye contact. They might just isolate themselves. They might just withdraw from situations. They don't even attend. So sometimes there could be complete physical withdrawal. Sometimes, they may not even acknowledge that they have probably done something embarrassing. So when it comes to behavioral goal setting, we have to work on all these avoidance-based behaviors. Right? So this is about guilt and shame. Any questions? Obviously, shame also is something that I see in my practice a lot, especially with adolescents. Peer group pressure. I also see shame when I'm working with clients who are from the corporate world, right? How others perceive, like corporate politics, many a times you would see this shame emotion coming up. And when it comes to performance, now whether you're performing in a corporate meeting or where you are like a performing artist also. Just recently I had a workshop with some artists, like performing artists, and the most common emotion that most of them shared was shame. That if they do a mistake, while practicing also, if other people are looking at their practice and if they do a mistake, if they do commit a mistake, then how will others think? While you're performing, if you slip or if you make a mistake, then how are others going to think? So when it comes to performance, also you will see shame. Okay, then let's talk about hurt. So the theme for hurt, anyone remembers?
Whether expectations are unmet.
Good. When expectation from others, again, others means your own core groups, they're not met. Another thing that I want to add for hurt is you also have this component of deservingness. I don't deserve this kind of treatment. If someone has criticized you very unfairly, that is also most common. I see in hurt, the most common trigger is when people have unfairly criticized you, when there is some level of betrayal, when you are not being appreciated for your efforts. So unfair criticism, betrayal, not being appreciated for your own efforts. You are deprived of what you want or what you need from the other person. So there's some sense of deprivation also in hurt. Now, from REBT point of view, can you think of any irrational beliefs that can come under hurt?
Other depreciation.
Very good. Other depreciation. What else? Anything else? What else will come? Irrational beliefs. Think, no?
Demandingness
From
others.
So other depreciation and demandingness from others. These are the most common. You also see some level of frustration, intolerance in hurt. So you do work on these three. And from CBT point of view, what core beliefs?
Unlovable.
Yeah, unlovable can come. And any cognitive distortions? So I see a lot of should statements. One most common cognitive distortion. That it should happen a certain way. They should have respected me. They should have given me their time. They should not act unfairly. So you see the most common cognitive distortion is should statements that you have to work on. And from behavioral goal setting point of view, you really need to help them with effective communication, because whenever you are hurt, you will ignore the person completely or you will lash out on that person. So again, it's like a lot of extreme behaviors you see. That's why it's important, when clients are feeling hurt, that we educate them about effective communication, effective something probably must be, from one angle, it can look like unfairness, but if you overestimate it, that all the time they're going to behave like this. And might not have responded to your message. That does not directly mean that they don't care for you. Right? So we help clients to see the other alternatives than to just conclude about one thing. So with shoulds, you also have to work here
शायद से नहीं उठाया।
कचरा नहीं उठाया?
हाँ नहीं उठाया।
जाएगा ग्रुप में। नैना कहाँ है?
right?
नैना रे
And then you have, the last emotion, which is anger. So the theme for anger, you remember?
Rule transient.
Yeah, when your rules are not when they are not maintained by the other person. And in anger, another very common theme is when you want to reach a particular goal and there's some obstruction. Like you want to complete your PhD proposal and there are a lot of obstructions, for you to complete that goal. Then also you feel angry. So when there is goal obstruction, someone they have threatened your self-esteem. That's also when you feel angry. So from REBT point of view, the common irrational belief would be demanding from others in anger. Again, other depreciation will be there. And frustration intolerance. These are the three most common irrational beliefs that we have to work on. Other depreciation, demandingness from self, and frustration intolerance. CBT also, you will see helpless core belief again, maybe in getting things done, because you want to achieve a goal and there is obstruction. So helplessness, core belief in getting things done. Again, cognitive distortion, should statements you would see in anger a lot. It must happen a certain way. Right? Another cognitive distortion in anger, but we label others. Give them like name calls. Name calling is very common. And again, when you are angry, you may not communicate effectively. Obviously, there is you are either communicating aggressively or you're not communicating at all. So one of the behavioral goals most common is also effective communication and assertiveness in anger. Also, for some clients, you got to teach them some emotional regulation skills, how to calm down their physiological, arousal. They're so hyper when they are angry. So it's important for them to even engage in some grounding exercises. Right, so we talked about anger, hurt, shame, and guilt. These are the 4 emotions that will come under emotional distress. And we looked at from a conceptualization point of view what we have to focus on. Do you have any questions on this? So this is where we have finished unit 4 as well. Obviously, when you're writing this unit 4, more your own personal example should come, which are stressed upon, right? Your own personal examples, or if you see in plans, if you're working with actualize certain exams and then evaluate. So, are there any questions from unit 4?
So,
and so we can talk about it. It's not very commonly seen in distress, but we can explore that as well. So, what is the theme in jealousy? You remember?
when
Threat.
threat to interpersonal relations,
Sorry?
threat to interpersonal relations.
Right. Threat to your own interpersonal relationship. So, more additional things if you want to look at jealousy. Sometimes threat is also from uncertainty. I don't know what is going to happen regarding my relationship. Like, for example, one is obviously uncertainty of the relationship you don't want to happen with this client, with your partner. Second, I see threat is also in terms of, if your partner has gone for some holiday and he's not answering your calls or you're not answering your messages. So many clients also think this as a threat, which is uncertainty related about your partner's whereabouts. You don't know where he is, what is he doing, what is he thinking. So that's why some clients who would get into unhealthy jealousy, right, they keep on, what you say, calling the partner, keep on checking on the partner because there is a threat about uncertainty. What if he leaves? So threat is the common theme, but threat has two sides here. One is threat from third person and threat about uncertainty. Would see in jealousy.
Demand from others.
Yeah, I must know for certain that my partner is not cheating on me. The most common this is. So one is demandingness from others, even frustration, intolerance from others, that I can't bear if he's cheating on me. So you see demandingness from others, you also see frustration, intolerance. Any other irrational belief? Awfulization is also present at times. That if there is any kind of cheating behavior, is going to be end of the world scenario for me. Right? So we have to concentrate on seeing if there is demand from others, frustration, intolerance, and awfulization. This is common in unhealthy jealousy. And the behaviors that I commonly see in my clients, when they are feeling very jealous, they want constant reassurance that they are loved. That you tell me that whether you love me, or they'll keep asking this question to their partner. Right? And they many a time many times in unhealthy some test partner that they have to pass. Oh, only if you come here, then I know that you love me. So all these tests that many a time certain people create, these are also very, very unhealthy. So many especially with unhealthy jealousy, we have to work on healthy boundary setting. How to talk about your boundaries. How to be assertive but not aggressive. And because cognitive distortions also are so strong in unhealthy jealousy, you have a lot of doubt about your partner. So then there is again a lot of fortune telling is there, a lot of mind reading is there. Many times it's like they are in their own thoughts. Actually, of this sort is happening, but they think these. I've also seen some clients, they will have images about their partner cheating on them. They'll create scenes in their head that this is what is happening. They are, like with someone else. So it's that strong at times. Right? So what did I say? You have to work on irrational beliefs of demand from others, frustration, intolerance, and awfulization. Cognitive distortions, again, mind reading, fortune telling is very, very common in jealousy. And in jealousy, you can see both core beliefs, unlovable and worthless. Both can exist. And because they are sometimes these core beliefs are plans are working from that core belief, something of this sort is happening. But core belief driven approach, maladaptive core belief driven approach which is something that you have to concentrate upon. Clear? Now, if you look at envy, what is the theme in envy? You remember?
Realistic emotion.
Yeah, some sort of materialistic.
Material.
That you desire which you don't have. You desire, something that other person has. Possession to, what you don't have. Another common thing I see is you want to sometimes, do some harm to that desired object. You purposefully want to harm the desired object. It could be phone, it could be property, whatever. That's why in property related fights, like property conflicts, I see envy the most. All these family property related stuff which happens, fights and everything, you will see unhealthy envy is at the center. So they'll burn some part of the property, they'll, do something on the property, they'll mess with the crops and all that. You will see this commonly in unhealthy envy, that you want to destruct that object that you desire and you don't have it. You destroy that object. This is the most common theme. Sometimes you don't want to destroy, but you want to take it away. Sometimes in school and all, there's a lot of cheating and lying, or stealing. School level stealing, many a times you will also see unhealthy envy. Some children want to steal something because they just want to take away the desired object which they don't have. Right? And the common irrational belief, can you think what will be in envy?
Frustration, intolerance, demanding from self.
Yeah, frustration, intolerance, definitely there. That I cannot stand this person having it, but I don't have. Demanding from self is also there, yes. And many a times, you also see some level of self-depreciation. I don't have this means something, something is lacking in me. Like one of my clients, he didn't have a great family, like a big family. But when he used to see his friends hanging out and, celebrating things, he used to feel that, I don't deserve this kind of a treatment. And more than that, the self-depreciation was something is wrong in me, that I don't have this. So demandingness again from, self can be there, frustration, intolerance, but I see largely self-depreciation also, which you have to work on with clients. In envy, certain behaviors also that I commonly see, again, as I said, destruction is most common, you want to destroy. But sometimes, you also spread rumors about this person, how he got to this level. So you will spread rumors, you will, a lot of bitching happens in unhealthy envy. Gossip happens in unhealthy envy. So again, when it comes to behavioral goal setting in envy, you have to help them with, appreciating someone's accomplishments also, not just that they have got something just because of luck or something. It's also their hard work that has helped them get to this level. Right? So in short, this is what can be covered under envy and jealousy. So then we talked about anger, hurt, shame, guilt, envy, jealousy. Any questions? So anything else you want to ask me about from Unit 4?
अभी तक तो बिस्कुट ले खाती हूँ 1 घंटा ले
No?
10 मिनट के बाद होती है ना
No.
हाँ
So now we are left with only schema.
5 मिनट
Right? That's the part which is of your unit 1, and that is also a subunit. So we are also going to look at different types of schemas. What are schemas? Different types of schemas, and generally how do we cope with schemas? These are the 3 things that you have to look at when we are looking at schema. Okay, and then we are done with our syllabus. But my point is, schema though I will teach, but I was thinking we should do it offline only. Your online response is not that great. What do you think? I'll just take like 1.5 hours to complete schemas, so I can probably come sometime and just do it. What do you think? Others? So 2 option. Who is this? Now please. I don't mind doing, but pata nahi, I don't know. You guys are listening, not listening. You also, when I asked if you want, why you guys are not on video, no one is even answering, yaar. What is the issue? You don't attend online classes through video, kya? How is it? Like, I'm just asking because I'm not understanding. How is it generally? You keep your videos off during online sessions? Janki, because you both are only there, I can talk to you both. Others, though, they are not responding.
Yes, ma'am, most of the times.
You have like this online sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have online sessions or no?
We do for some lectures.
So then it's off. It's like off video.
Yes.
That's why you probably most are not used to it. ठीक है. Anyway, I don't mind completing, but I really did not, what you say, thought it's going to be like this. Otherwise, I would have never said yes for online lectures. Just because you guys asked, I said, but I would not prefer online lectures at all. At least my preference is there, but anyway, it's not a demand. So I'll complete 10:15. We will meet, and then we'll talk about schemas. And then even I'll be off video. If only you both are going to be on video, even then I can be off video because it doesn't make sense. Okay? So then 10:15 I will come and then I'll finish the schemas. So what we're going to look at is what is schema therapy and what are the different types of schemas which are commonly found and how generally people respond to these schemas. What are their behavioral responses. So, my first question to all of you is, what is a schema? Any idea? Like from CBT point of view, we have talked about it. But more in detail, what could be a schema?
Mental framework.
But what kind of framework?
It's like a
Others
pattern
also,
of thought.
huh?
It's like a pattern of thought.
Okay. But anything more, yeah, template, fine, still close.
A
What else?
mental shortcut.
I couldn't hear you. Please be a bit loud.
A mental shortcut.
No, it's not a mental shortcut.
How we interpret the world.
Yeah, that's good. How we interpret the word, yes. So mental boxes to place things into, okay. Yeah, I think Unnati has the point here. It is mental representation and also mental interpretation, as Janki said. So schema is a very wide and what we have learned, it's a learned interpretation, perception of the reality, or mental representation of what we think is the reality. So it's more abstract in nature and it's like a blueprint that we have with us. So many a times we operate through our own schemas only. Obviously, some schemas can be healthy, some schemas are also unhealthy. Here, particularly in schema therapy, which was developed by Young, focus is on maladaptive schemas. So Dr. Alan Beck also did mention about early schemas and how they impact our personality. But what Young also said that CBT is good, but we can work more extensively with clients if we directly try to concentrate on their schemas, maladaptive schemas, and if we can start some work on these schemas. Many times schemas, many clients are not willing to change them, or even with us, you would see it's very difficult to change them because we want our schemas to be stable. It's like cognitive consistency because we know something that we have been carrying on for so many years, we want to keep maintaining it. So whether in reality it is accurate or distorted, we don't really think about that. We just want to maintain them throughout our, you know, uh, years and other experiences. So that's why, according to Young, also many clients feel it's very difficult to change the schemas. Probably they might have initial resistance, but if we try to work through that resistance, it's going to be helpful for clients. And schema therapy has been most effective for personality disorders, anxiety disorders, even depression, bipolar. Nowadays, this therapy is also clubbed with CBT, and you do CBT plus schema therapy, and promising results are seen. As I said, we are going to focus on maladaptive schemas. So you need to remember this, that maladaptive schemas are pervasive patterns of thinking. Pervasive means we have maintained them through years and they are still across different experiences. The next question to all of you is, what are schemas comprised of? Any idea? When I say comprised of, I'm asking you about what are the components. So yeah, past experience is very good, beliefs very good, thoughts and behaviors okay. Yes, anything else? All these are correct. What else? Interpretations, again, that could be cognitions. I can take it under cognitions, yes. So you have covered mostly, cognitions and emotions. I also want to tell you these schemas are also comprised of your memories, past emotional experiences that you have had, and also bodily sensations. One misconception about schemas is it's only cognition. No, cognition is one, definitely a major part of it. But you also see emotions, memories, bodily sensations. You can also have these schemas regarding other relationships that you're going through. It could be with regard to yourself or the other relationships. They are generally developed during childhood or adolescence, these schemas. And then throughout lifetime, we maintain them. And definitely maladaptive means that dysfunctional to a certain degree. Another common misconception I've seen with people is they think maladaptive schemas are only because of childhood trauma. But again, that's not the case. Definitely, that's one of the contributing factors. But can you think of what could be the reasons to why we might develop these maladaptive schemas?
Possibly intense negative feelings were experienced in that event, which led to the development.
Yeah, okay, intense negative experiences. What do you mean by coping? I did not understand this. Any other contributory factors? Yeah, maladaptive coping habits. See, one of the common contributory factors is also, what kind of home environment the child had to go through. So, unhealthy home environment, obviously genetic predisposition is there, cultural factors are also there. We also see sometimes when it comes to the origins of schema, that your core emotional needs were not met. We all have like 5 basic emotional needs. One is like secure attachment. Maybe you did not get a safe environment, someone to nurture your well-being during your childhood. So when we look at these core emotional needs, maybe we did not have secure attachment. Maybe there was no autonomy, competence, and sense of identity. This is second emotional need, that we would want that kind of independence when we are growing up. Maybe we did not get that. Maybe we were forced to do certain things that we didn't want to do. Third is also that freedom to express our emotions was not there. There were a lot of restrictions placed on, how you should express your emotions. That could be a problem. Fourth emotional need is also spontaneity and play. Play was not encouraged in the family while you were growing up. It was all about just studying or academics. And another important factor is maybe limits were not set which were realistic. Some parents might set limits which are very unrealistic. They might just keep on, punishing the child, or too self-controlled environment. So one of the major reasons to why these schemas are also developed could be that, the core emotional needs are not maintained. They are not met by the family members or your primary caregivers. Toxic childhood experiences also, your needs were not met. Probably in the childhood you were victimized in a certain way. There was a lot of traumatization that happened. This is also one common reason. Another reason is something called as selective identification. We identify with our caregivers sometimes in an unhealthy way. Let's say if your father was very punitive and very hard on his own self, like very self-critical. Some children also might internalize this. They also start getting very self-critical and they are also very punitive. So we might selectively identify with our caregivers and then try to internalize those kind of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. So that's also another reason to why you see the development of schemas. And also emotional temperament from like childhood, what kind of personality you had? Like what was your temperament from birth? Were you more irritable, more shy, more aggressive, more anxious? So that personality factor and the biological underpinnings of your personality, those can also influence